So please excuse this hot mess of a video. But after I was completely done recording all of month 3, I realized that I did week 9 and I thought I did. But probably my brain was just remembering when I actually did the research. So, week 9. Welcome back. Sorry that in week 10 you're going to hear me say the same thing. My sister's doing immensely better, as you can tell. And like I said, this is just a very strange video because I was about to post week 10 and realized I did not post week 9. But this is the last week your baby is an embryo. They are officially a fetus next week. Toes are more visible, head is more straight with ears continuing to grow. All major organs have developed. At this point, they are starting to work on maturing and kind of getting the details right, if you will. They're going to start to move more, which means their muscles are starting to grow and learn how to work properly. They're going to start straightening themselves out and kind of start moving more like a human. It's very slow, but technically you could feel baby move at this point, especially post this week. And there are some people that especially have had multiple children that tend to be able to feel earlier. They think this phenomenon comes because you know the feeling, especially after multiple children, you know it well. Also, everything kind of sags after being put back into place multiple times. So sometimes it can put into a placement to the point of where you're able to feel that once baby starts moving a lot more. Heart is growing rapidly. You definitely could hear this on an ultrasound, but it's hard to do with those fetal monitors just because they're going through a ton of layers of skin and they're definitely not as powerful. But, you know, you might be able to do it. At home Doppler, I definitely would not recommend. But there's a reason why even doctors, they might try when you first go in, but they know you're not really going to be able to hear it because of all of that. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with baby right now. You know, we're starting to get more and more like a human. That's my twin. Your placenta is being made intensely, which is actually what I've come to notice, that as your placenta is actually being formed seems to be when you have the most raging hormones, because on top of that, baby is going from an embryo to an actual fetus, and you're just raging full of hormones. And it seems like once the placenta is actually formed, that's truly when things start to, slow down when it comes to such intensity with the hormones. And yes, a part of it is your body is now used to the baby. Yes, it's been so long, all of these things. But another thing is hormones drop. They're not going to be that high the whole time. And it seems to be that once the placenta is done being made, this will drop intensely. And due to that, you're extremely tired, and baby is getting bigger and bigger, which is going to push on your bladder and colon and intestines first. So yes, you are already peeing intensely, and that is literally why. It is because it is one of the first things as uterus expands that typically gets hit, is those 3 things, because they're the first organs surrounding it, so they're going to be the first ones to be impacted, let alone the 3 that get impacted the most throughout your entire pregnancy. You can really start to feel maybe tighter clothes, start to feel it. If you're a bigger person, it might take a little bit longer. Maybe you have a bigger belly, it might take a little bit longer. But typically, you can put your hand there and you can feel hard rock, and that's your baby, your uterus. So, tummy down is technically fine when you're sleeping. These are just a couple things to think about. It doesn't actually do anything to baby like they've made us to believe. It really is just comfortability matters, and by the time that you have a huge belly, you're not really going to want to lay on your stomach because that doesn't feel good. But if you're a tummy sleeper, sleep on your tummy until it doesn't feel good. It's not actually going to do anything to the baby. That's just a phenomenon. And then, like I had said, at-home Dopplers, try to resist. Seriously, try to resist. If you cannot, okay, but really don't try to buy one or get it until you're in the 2nd trimester, because that's going to be when it's way easier for anybody to listen. And at-home Dopplers aren't even as strong as the fetal Dopplers, and like I had just explained, fetal Dopplers don't necessarily always, even in doctor's offices or midwife's offices, don't necessarily always hear at this early. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong with baby. It just means the machine and technology is not strong enough. And that's because they're not buying a, $1,000 Doppler just to listen to that. Now, if you go to a specialist, that's a totally different story, but they're doing that on purpose, especially because of what they're looking for in the first trimester. So you aren't necessarily going to hear that. But most ultrasound techs, if you go in for your timing, ultrasound will try their best to listen to the heart and for their own purpose, let alone so that you can hear it. And, of course, that's sweet. Everybody loves to hear their babies sing. But at home Dopplers are really hard because you have to know what the baby's position is. Like I said, they're not even as strong as ones in the doctor's offices that tend to have issues on their own. And it can just cause a lot of unneeded anxiety and making you feel something's wrong with baby, when in reality, it's the equipment. It's not the baby. Or you, because you don't know where to look. And for your breast, if they are feeling, pretty tender, my breasts were pretty much tender the entire pregnancy for both of them, which I'm not used to. I was not like that even breastfeeding. I had my typical, milk engorgement pain, but, I never really had tender nipples, tender breasts. And it really is just like every other muscle, every other body part in your body. It doesn't matter hot or cold. It's what matters what you can take and what feels good to you. So if the hot feels good that day, great. If the cold feels good that day, great. It's whatever it is. It can change, just whatever suits that. And that's for any muscle in your body. So if any muscle is hurting, your belly's stretching out, that can tend to hurt. Hot, cold, whichever one works best. But that's really all of week 9. And again, I'm so sorry for this weird video, but I wanted to get it done since we're just at number 10. But yeah, that's all. If you have any questions, please comment below.